Let's get right into it. We've all been there. One minute, you're chilling, just going about your day, and the next, you're convinced that you've got something stuck in your teeth for hours, even though nothing's there. Or maybe you've totally convinced yourself that the toast is somehow burning, even though it's only been in the toaster for 5 seconds. But here's the thing, your brain is playing tricks on you. Big tricks, and you fall for it every day. Why? Because your brain is basically a master con artist. Let's dive in to see just how your brain makes you believe lies without you even realizing it. Number 1, the sunk cost fallacy. You've already put $200 into this dead-end hobby, so you might as well spend another $50 on new supplies, right? Oh wait, you've already bought 30 pairs of the same shoes, but just one more pair can make you feel better, right? Your brain is a sucker for this one. The sunk cost fallacy is the reason you keep pouring money into things that have zero future return. And it's all thanks to that little voice in your head that says, you've already invested, don't give up now. Your brain convinces you that all that wasted time or money can still be redeemed, even when it's clearly not going to happen. Think about it. Ever stayed at a job you hated because you were too far in to quit? That's your brain doubling down on a bad decision like a gambling addict who's already lost everything but still thinks they'll win big if they just bet one more time. Spoiler alert, it's all downhill from here. But why does your brain do this? Simple. It hates feeling like it's wrong. So it tricks you into thinking that if you just keep going, the past mistakes won't seem so, well, stupid. Basically, your brain's got a little pride issue. The more you commit, the harder it is to face the fact that maybe, just maybe, you should have walked away ages ago. So the next time you find yourself buying another unnecessary gadget or staying at a soul-sucking job, remember, your brain's just trying to save face. It's like when you've had way too much to drink and your brain convinces you that yes, you can totally drive home safely. Spoiler alert, you can't. Number 2, confirmation bias. Let's talk about the comfy little bubble your brain loves to live in. You know that moment when you find that one article that supports your opinion and suddenly it feels like you've just discovered the holy grail of knowledge? That's confirmation bias working its magic. It's your brain's way of saying, ah yes, this is exactly what I thought and now I'm right. So instead of looking at all the available evidence, your brain picks the information that matches what it already believes. It's like that friend who insists that pineapple belongs on pizza, and the more you argue, the more they find articles to back them up. Even if it's completely ridiculous, it's comforting. After all, we all want to feel validated, right? Your brain, being the lazy thinker it is, doesn't want to go through the whole process of reconsidering its opinions or beliefs. Why bother when it's easier to just find information that confirms what you already know, or think you know? The truth doesn't matter as much as that warm, fuzzy feeling of being right. So next time you find yourself spiraling deeper into a rabbit hole of self-affirmation on the internet, just remember, your brain is the one clicking yes on every video titled, Why Pineapple Should Totally Go on Pizza. Number 3, the illusion of control. All right, now let's talk about when your brain gets cocky. You know that feeling when you've just picked your favorite lottery numbers and suddenly you're sure you'll win? Or when you keep clicking refresh on your online order status because it somehow makes it more likely that your package will arrive on time? That's your brain convincing you that you're in control of things that are totally out of your hands. The illusion of control is when your brain tricks you into thinking you have more power over a situation than you really do. It's like that time you put your keys in the exact same place every day, only to have them disappear. Your brain's logic? I'm sure I have control over this situation, so I must have misplaced them somewhere I can't remember right now. But the reality is you had no control over it whatsoever. Why does this happen? Your brain craves certainty. It wants to feel like you're actively steering the ship, even if you're just riding in the back seat. So you start doing all these little rituals and habits, things that in reality don't affect the outcome at all. It's like convincing yourself that praying for good weather before a picnic will somehow guarantee a sunny day. Spoiler, it won't, but try telling your brain that. It's got a stubborn streak. Number 4, the halo effect. All right, brace yourself for some mind-bending psychology. The halo effect. This is when your brain decides that because you like one thing about a person, say their smile, you're automatically going to assume everything else about them is just as wonderful. They could be the worst driver in the world, but because they have a cute laugh, your brain convinces you they're basically a saint. It's like when you meet someone for the first time, and for some reason, they just seem trustworthy.
No real evidence, but your brain feels like they're trustworthy, so it just goes with it. This is why you might find yourself buying a product simply because you saw a celebrity endorse it. The ad has nothing to do with the actual quality of the product, but the halo effect is in full force, and suddenly you're hooked. The tricky part, you don't even realize your brain is doing this. It happens on autopilot. So when you hear someone's voice on the phone and it sounds warm and friendly, you might assume they're a good person. But what if they're just really good at tricking you? Your brain doesn't care to find out though. It's already made up its mind. It's like assuming your favorite YouTuber must be a genius because their video editing is top-notch. They might just have an editor, but your brain doesn't care. It's already labeled them smart because they've earned a halo.
Number 5. The Dunning-Kruger Effect. You ever met someone who's super confident but has absolutely no idea what they're talking about? Yeah, your brain is totally responsible for that. The Dunning-Kruger Effect is this hilarious cognitive bias where people who know the least about something tend to overestimate their knowledge the most. It's like watching a toddler try and explain quantum physics with an overinflated sense of authority. But why does your brain do this? It's because the less you know, the less likely you are to realize how much you don't know. Essentially, you're too ignorant to even recognize your ignorance. It's like walking around with your pants unzipped and thinking you're totally fine, while everyone else is just trying not to stare. Your brain does this because it loves to feel confident. Confidence, to your brain, equals success. So when you only know the basics, your brain fills in the blanks and says, "You got this." Meanwhile, you're out here giving advice on things you've never even tried. You can see this at play on the internet all the time. Ever notice how everyone suddenly becomes an expert after reading one article? It's like your brain says, "Oh, that sounds like enough to form an opinion." Spoiler, it's not. But hey, your brain's not about to let that stop you from sounding like a genius. Number 6. The anchoring effect. Next up, let's talk about the anchoring effect. This is when your brain latches onto the first piece of information it gets and uses that as a reference point for everything else. Ever tried to buy a couch only to be totally thrown off by the first ridiculously expensive option you saw? Suddenly, every other couch seems like a bargain, right? That's your brain doing its thing. It's taking the first price and anchoring all future judgments to it, even if it's a complete outlier. So you end up making decisions based on one piece of information, not realizing how wildly inaccurate it might be. Why does this happen? Simple. Your brain is lazy. It loves shortcuts. So when it hears a number, a fact, or a piece of info, it uses that as a baseline and doesn't bother recalculating for all the other factors. It's like assuming every limited time sale is a good deal just because you saw a big red tag that screamed discount. Your brain doesn't care to investigate further. It just anchors to that number and moves on. Number 7. The Bystander Effect. You know that moment when you're at a crowded event and someone trips and suddenly everyone just stares, waiting for someone else to act? That's the bystander effect in action. It's this odd phenomenon where the more people are around, the less likely anyone is to help in a crisis. You'd think that in a crowd, everyone would be scrambling to help, but nope. Your brain goes into a weird mode where it assumes someone else will take care of it. Your brain sees other people and thinks, well, they've probably got it, right? It's a collective paralysis of action. Basically, the more people in the room, the less responsibility your brain feels to do anything about it. Why does your brain do this? It's all about diffusion of responsibility. When you're alone, the weight of a situation falls entirely on you, so you're more likely to act. But in a group, your brain just starts passing the buck to someone else. This is why in emergencies, things can get pretty weird. Your brain tells you, hey, it's not your problem. Someone else is going to step up. But guess what? No one does. And suddenly everyone's waiting for someone else to act while the clock ticks. So the next time you see a problem, just remember, if no one's moving, your brain is probably just thinking, it's not my turn. Number 8, the false consensus effect. Ever found yourself thinking, everyone must agree with me on this, right? Only to realize, no, they really don't. That's the false consensus effect in play. Your brain has this delightful trick where it assumes that your beliefs, opinions, and behaviors are more widely shared than they actually are. It's like when you post a meme, expecting the whole world to laugh, and then you get crickets. Your brain is convinced that everyone thinks the same way you do because, well, you think that way. So it assumes that if something makes sense to you, it must make sense to everyone. This cognitive bias is why people overestimate how common their opinions are, leading them to believe they're in the majority, when in fact, they're not even close.
The problem with this, it causes all sorts of awkward social situations. You might assume that your friend will agree with your extremely niche hobby, but then they hit you with, I have no idea what you're talking about. Surprise, your brain was just wildly wrong. But why does it do this? Because it loves comfort. Your brain wants to feel validated and part of the in crowd, so it convinces itself that everyone shares your perspective. It's like trying to impress people with a joke that only you find funny. Sorry, but the consensus is a little less universal than your brain thought. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.